Don't finish this in your head. You already did. Your mind just sang the rest. Your brain hates a loop that won't close, a sentence that cuts off, a sound that never resolves, a story without an ending. It doesn't feel like curiosity. It feels like an itch you can't stop scratching. It feels wrong. That feeling quietly controls more of your life than you realize. Your focus, your stress, even the reason you keep checking your phone when you already know there's nothing there. Today, we peel back the curtain on the quiet pattern of the unfinished. In 1927, a young psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik sat in a busy Berlin restaurant. She noticed something that seemed impossible. The waiters could remember everything: who ordered the schnitzel, who wanted extra cream, who asked for no sugar. 15 tables, perfect recall. But the second the bill was paid, the memory vanished. If you asked the waiter what table 4 ordered 5 minutes after they left, they had no idea. Zeigarnik realized the brain treats unfinished business like a live file, an unpaid bill, an open task. It stays active, taking up space and consuming energy. Only when the task is finished does the brain close the file and move on. She took this observation into the lab. Participants were given small tasks: solving puzzles, shaping clay, stringing beads. Some were allowed to finish. Others were interrupted halfway with a polite excuse. The result was striking. They remembered the interrupted tasks almost twice as well as the ones they completed. The brain didn't cling to success. It clung to what was left unresolved. Psychologists believe this comes from evolution. Our ancestors couldn't afford to forget an unfinished hunt or an unsecured shelter. An incomplete task creates cognitive tension. Like an open tab in your browser, it doesn't sit quietly. It runs in the background, draining your mental battery. But there is a second layer to this pattern, discovered by Zeigarnik's colleague, Maria Ovsiankina. She found that an interrupted task doesn't just stay in your memory, it creates a quasi-need, a psychological pressure that forces you to go back and finish it, even if there is no reward. Think about a puzzle with one missing piece. You don't just remember the puzzle, you are haunted by it. You will look under the rug and behind the sofa until that loop is closed. This is the Ovsiankina Effect. The brain doesn't just want the information, it wants the release of the tension. Why does finishing feel so good? When we close a loop, the brain releases a small burst of dopamine. It's a reward for survival-based completion. This is why to-do lists are so addictive. We don't just write things down to remember them, we write them down for the pleasure of crossing them out. But there's a trap here. If we have too many open loops, the dopamine system breaks down. Instead of a hit of pleasure when we finish, we just feel a dull sense of relief from the overwhelming anxiety. We aren't working for joy anymore. We are working to stop the screaming of the unfinished tabs in our minds. Now, notice how this shows up in your living room. Think about shows like Prison Break or Breaking Bad. Every episode ends at the moment of maximum tension, an escape plan half complete, a secret revealed just before the screen cuts to black. Your brain doesn't want the next episode because it's entertaining. It wants it because the tension is physically uncomfortable. You aren't watching for pleasure, you are watching for relief. Modern technology has turned this into a weapon. Every unread red badge on an app, every message marked "seen" without a reply, every half-watched video on your feed, each one leaves a loop open. We are living in a state of permanent cognitive tension, surrounded by unfinished emails and abandoned carts that our brain refuses to let go of. But some of the most successful people in history didn't fight this effect. They harnessed it. Ernest Hemingway had a famous rule. He would always stop writing when he knew what was going to happen next. He would stop in the middle of a sentence or right before a major scene. Why? because he knew the Zeigarnik Effect would spend the next 24 hours writing the story in the back of his mind. When he sat down the next morning, he didn't have writer's block. His brain was practically begging him to close the loop he had left open the day before. He wasn't relying on inspiration, he was relying on a psychological itch. We are the first generation in history to live with infinite open loops. In the past, when the sun went down, the work was done. Today, the work is never done. This leads to cognitive overload. When your brain is holding on to 400 unfinished loops, it has no room left for deep thought. So how do we fix it? First, use the starting hack. If you're avoiding a big task, don't promise yourself you'll finish it. Just start. Work for 5 minutes and stop in the middle of a sentence. Create a splinter in your own mind that forces you to return. Second, the external reset. At the end of the day, write down every unfinished task on a physical piece of paper. This is the mental bill. By writing it down, you are telling your brain, I see this. It is safe. You can stop holding it for now. This clears your mental RAM. It lets you sleep without the phantom vibration of the unfinished. You stayed until the end of this video for one reason. A loop was opened over 10 minutes ago, and your mind was waiting for it to close. The loop is closed. Your mind can finally rest. Until next time, stay observant.